On today's episode of Big Time, the podcast brought to you by BJ's Tavern, I am joined by a true legend and icon, basically the equivalent of interviewing the Pope. Ladies and gentlemen, Legs Labbe on Big Time. Man, things are big time. On Big Time. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another round of the podcast we call Big Time. Got a big time guest today. I'm very excited for this one. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined by the legend, Legs Labbe. Legs, go ahead and say hello to our audience out there.
Hi, everyone. How you doing? It's a beautiful day in northern Maine.
Yes. So we're coming from Legs' house right now. And Legs, I always start off my episodes by asking my guests what they're drinking during the episode. What are you drinking on over there?
Michelob Ultra.
Is that your drink of choice, or is that just
my number two choice?
What's your number one?
Coors Light.
Coors Light. What about for the hard stuff? What's your drink of choice?
Vodka, and or gin and tonic.
Yeah, it's good combinations. So as I said, we've got a legend on today's episode, and I'm very excited for this one. I'm going to ask Legs a question off the bat that I already know the answer to, but I want all the fans to know. Legs, who's your favorite roommate of all time that you've ever had?
Tom Bard.
Exactly.
Great guy.
Yeah. So I know Legs pretty well. I'm going to ask him a bunch of stories, and we're going to go back with them. I know the answers to most of these, but I just want everyone to know because Legs has lived an incredible life. So, Legs, let's take it back to the beginning. Let everyone know where you were born and raised.
I was born in Wallagrass, which is 10 miles south of Fort Kent.
Yeah.
It's a great little town. We're in a population about 1,000.
Yep.
My parents had a store and a filling station. And I grew up right next to the school that I went to in grammar school.
Yep.
And served Mass as a choir boy.
Wow.
Till I was 21 years old.
Yeah. And the house you grew up in, it's still out there, right? It's still standing?
Still there.
Yeah. Is it have they named it a national monument yet, or is it still in the works?
It's probably in the works.
So, grew up in Wallagrass, and you had one brother, right?
One brother named Arms.
Arms. So, Legs and Arms. And as you said, grew up in Wallagrass. At what point did you get into sports? Because I'm guessing it was a little bit different back then. They probably didn't have the youth sports like they have nowadays. So
no, I grew up playing baseball in a cow field where, there's used bases with rocks or wooden things, and it was. But we played a lot of baseball every summer.
Yeah.
And I kept on playing baseball during grammar school, then high school, and college.
Yeah. So this cow field, was it out in Wallagrass, or was it
Wallagrass?
It was. All right.
Yeah.
So did you have a bunch of friends that you grew up with that you guys all played together?
Exactly.
And then you mentioned you went to elementary school in Wallagrass, right?
Elementary school in Wallagrass.
Was there sports teams when you were in elementary school?
Yeah, we had the baseball for the guys and softball for the girls.
Was that the only sport you guys played?
No gym.
Oh, wow.
But
what about soccer? Was soccer around back then?
No, soccer was not around. That was way back in the 40s.
Yeah.
And then when I left Wallagrass, I moved to Fort Kent, and I played baseball for Fort Kent.
Yeah.
Summer we had summer teams.
Yeah.
We had some very good teams. In high school, we reached the Eastern Maine Finals against Bangor. We didn't win, but we played a good game. We had a great record. We beat everyone in the county that we played. And at St. Francis College in Bedford, I was the only guy on the team that could pitch, so I pitched all the games.
Yeah.
We played high schools in the area like Thornton Academy, Bedford, St. Louis High School. It was a lot of fun.
No pitch counts back then, right? So you were pitching every game and just,
no.
yeah. And, a little bit different back then.
Yes. and that's where I got my nickname.
Yeah, so your nickname was Legs, but you were a baseball player. So how did that work?
Okay, at St. Francis, when you first went there, they call it Initiation Week,
Okay.
and it was really tough. It lasted all week. And
Was this just for school, or was this for like a fraternity or something? Like
yeah, it was. Yeah,
Was it?
it was the only guy. There were no girls
Okay.
involved. So I did a lot of running around the campus, getting away from the seniors who were trying to give us a hard time.
Yeah.
And I was the fastest guy in my class. So
Yeah. They gave you the name Legs?
Jimmy Keegan, a friend of mine, gave me my nickname. Called me Legs is our man.
Yeah.
And I kept on running, and I was on the track team. I was the pitcher, and so those are the sports I played at St. Francis.
So you didn't get the nickname Legs till college?
Till St. Francis.
Till St. Francis.
Which is 1947.
So, yeah, for all of our fans, I think a lot of our fans only know you as Legs. So
Yes.
tell them what your first name is.
My first name is Emery.
There you go.
Not too many people know that.
Yeah, many people know that. Great name. It's actually my son's middle name is Emery, named after the legend himself. So let's go back a little bit. You talked about the St. Francis days, but let's go back to a little bit earlier. So whenever you graduated middle school or elementary school in Wallagrass, at what point did you go to Fort Kent? Was it just for high school, or was there a middle school?
Before it was high school. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where was the high school at that point? Was it the same building?
On Pleasant Street.
Pleasant Street?
Yeah.
Same building?
There was only one building, and of course there was no gym attached to it.
Yeah.
And I graduated in 1949
Yep.
from Fort Kent Community High School. Then I went 2 years at St. Francis College, which is now the University of New England.
Yep.
Then transferred to UMFK, my last 2 years of college.
There you go. So you made the full circle,
So,
went away and
yeah.
came back.
So I graduated from UMFK. My neighbor, I lived right close to the college,
Yeah.
right next to the soccer field.
Yeah. So you mentioned you went to St. Francis, and what was your original intention? You were going there to be a priest, right?
Yes.
So how did that come about?
Until I met some girls in Biddeford, and they were pretty nice.
Yeah. And you changed your mind really quick.
And I got introduced to drinking beer, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of that changed my mind.
Yeah, so-
beer and women.
So prior to St. Francis College, you weren't, there wasn't any good-looking women around, or was it just different up here back then?
It was different. We mainly played baseball and sports.
Yeah.
Softball,
No time for women
fast
back then.
pitch. Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned you played baseball a lot in high school and college, but also back then there were a lot of
Summer.
A lot of semi-pro leagues and stuff like
Yes.
that around here, right?
I did a lot of pitching there.
Yeah. So were you playing semi-pro in high school as well, or when did you start doing the whole semi-pro thing?
I started doing that when I was a junior year in high school.
Junior year in high school.
Yeah.
So you must have been a pretty good pitcher then.
Well, I pitched against teams like Loring, who had a terrific team of baseball players, and we played Grand Falls, we played Edmonston, and we played under the lights a lot of games in Prescott. And
So was this all the same league, or was it a couple different leagues?
it was an independent league, they call it.
Yeah.
We organized we brought our uniforms, we organized the equipment. I mean, everything was done without any sponsorship.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you did a lot of traveling back then,
Yes.
all over New Brunswick,
And all over Aroostook County.
all over Worcester County.
Which is a big county.
Yeah. So it was semi-pro. Were you getting paid for your pitching?
I was getting paid when I pitched for Clare, New Brunswick.
Okay. So
The Canadian team there.
all right. So the Canadian team came and scooped you up. What were they offering you for some money?
We played $50 for every game I pitched.
Every game.
$50.
That must have been some
Free
good money.
beer.
Yeah. That's some good money for
Yes,
back
it was a
then.
lot of fun too.
Yeah.
And we had good crowds. It was amazing.
So was there a team from Fort Kent as well?
We had 14 players that joined the team in Clare.
Okay. Okay.
And we had the Pelletier brothers, Rudy, Elmer, and Phil,
Yeah.
who were my infield in high school.
Yeah.
And we played a lot of games in Clare, Edmonston, Grand Falls, like
Yeah.
I mentioned, Island Falls, and Holton, and we played played everyone.
Where was the field in Clare? Where was the baseball?
It was not far from the Catholic Church. There was a ground that was close to the road where, and we had bleachers. We had great crowds there.
Yeah.
And we played a team from Edmonton who had they had college guys playing for Edmonton from all Boston University, Boston College, Harvard, and we beat them one game. The first time we played them, we beat them 1-0.
Ooh, shutout
on a home run by Phil Pelletier.
Wow.
Who later was looked into by the Boston Braves.
Really?
Yes, he did try out.
Yeah.
He almost made it, but he decided not to go into pro baseball, and instead he became a farmer.
Wow, that's quite the change.
Yes.
Maybe a professional baseball player to a farmer instead.
Yes.
So you mentioned that there were some big crowds for those games back then.
Very big.
Were there people betting money on games?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like nowadays you have a lot more sports available to the people up here, soccer, basketball, we got the skiing and stuff going on. But back then, baseball was it, right?
Oh, baseball was big.
Yeah.
And then came summer soccer.
Okay.
That was very big too.
Yeah. So when did soccer kind of get introduced to the area?
Terry Carpenter was one of our first coaches there that I recall. I never played soccer because there was no soccer in my day. All throughout my school, I never played soccer because we didn't have soccer. Otherwise, I would have liked that sport.
Yeah, but you're a big soccer fan now. Are you enjoy watching soccer?
Yes, that's my number one sport.
Women's soccer or men's soccer? Which one do you prefer?
Men's soccer.
Okay. Women's soccer is fun to watch too.
Oh yeah.
So did the college team get a soccer team first, or the high school team up here? Which came first?
It was the college.
College had a soccer team first, and then the high school got one. Okay. So I want to touch a little bit more on your baseball days. So you were a great baseball pitcher, fast pitch. You got picked up by some of these teams over in Canada.
Yeah.
But I know you were also a great softball pitcher as well, right?
Yeah, fast pitch.
Fast pitch. So when did softball come into the picture?
Right after I stopped playing baseball.
So did you throw your arm out? Is that what happened in baseball? And you had to...
No, we. I don't know what happened, but the interest was not as good as the years went by. Yeah. People had more camps around the lake, and so they stopped coming to. They'd prefer going to the lake than watching a baseball game. Yeah. But summer soccer really attracted good fans and a lot of fans, and we had playoffs in southern. The playoffs were held in southern Maine at the end of the summer. Yeah. It was a good soccer.
Yeah. So for softball, were you getting paid for that as well?
No.
Was it a Fort Kent team, or were you playing on Canadian teams?
That was a Fort Kent team.
Fort Kent team?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. For softball and baseball, what's the furthest you traveled to play a game?
Well, in high school, we made the Eastern Maine Finals. That was Bangor. Yeah. We played the longest game I ever pitched, or the team I ever played, was at Presque Isle at the Northern Maine Fair, under the lights. A huge crowd, and we beat Presque Isle in 16 innings.
16?
And I pitched 15 of those innings.
And any idea or estimate what your pitch count was for that game?
A lot. And Rudy Pelletier, my shortstop, pitched a lot. He was the relief pitcher. Yeah. And he pitched the last inning. We beat Presque Isle. That's the reason we went to Bangor. We were undefeated. Yeah. So we had some great teams in 1947, 48, 49.
Yeah. And you said you guys beat pretty much everybody that year, right?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't matter who it was.
No.
So was it more because of your pitching, or did you guys have some good hitters as well?
And good infield. I had a terrific infield. Yeah. Yeah. And hitting was great.
Yeah. So, I know you as a pitcher, but how were you as a batter? Could you hit?
I used to do a lot of bunting.
Oh, yeah? Where were you in the batting order?
6 or 7, the bottom of the lineup.
Yeah, and you would just bunt to get on base?
Not number 9. I don't remember hitting number 9 at all. Yeah. But I used to hit line drives. Yeah. Not too many long balls. Yeah.
So as a pitcher, how many different types of pitches did you have in your arsenal? Were you just a fastball?
In those days we'd call it a curve, which is now slider, drop, which is they call it a what do they call them now? Like
I'm probably the worst guy to ask that because I'm not a huge baseball fan, unfortunately. But yeah.
Anyway, it was a drop and a curve and a fastball.
What was your go-to pitch?
Fastball.
Fastball.
Yeah. And my number one name in pitching was control. I didn't like to walk any guys.
Yeah. So you were a fastball pitcher. At any point, did they ever find out how fast you could pitch?
In the baseball?
Yeah.
Now I wish that there were no guns.
They didn't have it back then, no radar guns or anything like that?
No. But there are some guys in the major leagues that they don't have a fastball. Yeah. They have good records. Yeah. But my best pitch was a fast pitch. Yeah.
So whenever you stepped up there and there was a brand new batter coming to play, what was your approach? Were you just were you always going with the fastball first, or did you have the same approach every time?
Yeah, mostly try to get ahead of the batters. Yeah. That was the main thing. Yeah. And don't hit him and don't walk him. Yeah,
that's a good idea right there. So it was always a fastball first. Were you going right down the middle, or were you trying to paint the corners, or how were you going at them? Inside. Yeah. Yeah.
Inside. The guys from Madawaska, you tell they were scared when they got up to the plate because
they back away.
I'd really get them off the plate. Yeah.
You mentioned the game against Presque Isle to go to the state championship. Oh, yeah. You mentioned the state championship game. Is that are those probably the two games you remember most from your high school days, or how about all time? What's your greatest game you would say you ever pitched in?
That Presque Isle game was probably the greatest game that we played in high school. Because Presque Isle was always a bigger school. Yeah. But in those days, there was no class. You played everyone. There was no A, B, C, D. Yeah. It was high school, and you played high school baseball. Yeah.
So that's the game right there. That's the one that sticks out in your mind the most.
Yes, yeah. And when you have a good defense, a good infield, good outfield, you have a good team.
I want to see how well you remember that day. So give me see how many details you remember from that day. Do you remember what kind of weather it was like? Was it nice outside?
At Presque Isle, it was a beautiful evening.
It was under the lights, you said, right?
Under the lights. Yeah. And the big crowd, the fair was going on at the time. So that attracts a lot of people besides the baseball game.
So where was the baseball field? Was it like where the grandstand is now? And all
right where the grandstand is, right in the middle of the racetrack was around the field. Yeah.
So that must have gone late. It was a 16-inning game at night. So that must have been a long night.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's a good thing they had lights.
Yeah. So how did news travel back then? Because I'm guessing that was to go to the state championship. So when you guys got back to town, were there people waiting for you guys? When you showed up?
Oh yeah. There was, and when we played in Bangor, some people chartered a plane from Frenchville to come see the game in Bangor.
Yeah, where was the game held in Bangor? Was it?
It was at Mansfield Stadium, right behind the Stephen King's home.
It's still there. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Back then, were there any all-county teams, all-state teams, anything like that?
The Bangor went on to win the state championship, of course, and they had the best team in Eastern and Western Maine.
Yeah, but did they have did they name like an all-star team at the end of the year or all-state first team?
No, they didn't have any of that.
Back then, no? Huh. Did you say you pitched in college as well, or were there sports teams?
At St. Francis.
Yeah, you guys actually competed against other teams?
Mostly the high school teams around the area.
So it wasn't like you weren't playing too many other colleges and stuff like that?
No. Our toughest opponent was Thornton Academy, which is in Saco. Yeah. And we played Bedford High, St. Louis High School, Kennebunk, just a few of them that I remember. Yeah. But we were undefeated the first year that I was there. We were undefeated. Yeah. And we had some good guys from the Valley. Oh, yeah? And yes.
Who were some of the other guys that were playing with you from the Valley?
Rudy Pelletier, Jimmy Keegan, Ed Medore, Reno Willette, and those are just a few. Elmer Pelche came in after. Yeah. He was a little younger than us. Yeah. So we had a pretty good team there.
So what do you remember most from your days at St. Francis is the women and
Yeah.
and the beer. Is that what you remember the
Well,
most?
we had good friends that came to school from Bedford, and they introduced us to the girls, and we had movie dates and.
So where were the girls coming from? Were they just girls in town?
Bedford.
Yeah, from the Bedford area.
Yeah.
Nice. So you went there for 2 years, decided to come back, and you enrolled at. It wasn't the university you made at Fort Kent back
No,
then.
it was Mount Austria Training School.
All right. So what did you decide to major in when you came back here?
MTS, education teaching.
And so what made you want to go that route?
I had a friend that was teaching in Eagle Lake, and he was a good friend of mine, and I really picked up. I said, "Geez, I'd like that." So I went for education and graduated in 1951 when it was a 2-year college, and then I graduated when it came a 4-year college in 1967.
So what was the 4-year degree? Was it also an education degree that you got?
Yes,
Okay.
all the way. Yeah.
Okay. What do you remember about your time at UMFK when you came back here? What was it like? Was it a little bit different at that point?
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing it's different than what it is now.
Yes, the gym was the Juanita T. Blake Library.
Yeah.
There used to be a gym.
Was it the first basketball gym in Fort Kent?
Yes,
Okay.
and now it's a library.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we switched over to the Armory when Osgood was coaching.
Yeah.
We switched, the teams played in the Armory. And we had a full house every game. We had good teams.
Yeah. Oh, I got a question about that. So, like, if those were the first basketball gyms in Fort Kent, were they not playing basketball prior to that? Or were people playing outside? Were there outside basketball hoops?
That's a good question, yeah. Because as far as the high school, the gym came a lot later.
Yeah.
The high school used to use the college facilities.
Yeah.
And, of course, that's a long time ago. I forget a lot of stuff. But
So I'm guessing that a lot of those early UMFK basketball teams were all guys from out of town because no one in town played basketball.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you get involved with college athletics at all? Did you coach at all? Or?
And I was manager
Okay.
of the team. And in those days, we didn't have a bus to carry the team around. So I had a car. So I used my car with some of the players. The coach had a car. He brought players. So we had a car.
You just stuff a bunch of guys in a car and drive off. Huh?
Yeah.
So you managed a little bit. What was your first real job that you got once you graduated from college? What, did you go straight to teaching, or did you get a different job?
I went into teaching right off, and the town of Wallagrass needed a town manager, and I was the first guy in town to graduate from a college.
Yeah.
So I got a job very easily.
They just gave it to you?
I was teaching with nuns at Wallagrass School.
Yeah.
And
so you had two jobs. You were teaching and running the town.
Yeah.
How was that?
Town manager.
Yeah. Did you have fun running the town? Or was
yeah. That was a lot of fun.
Did you have any idea what you were doing, or did they just kind of throw you into it and you figured it out as you went
along?
Well,
it was a self educated as far as town business.
Yeah. And how long were you town manager for?
6 years.
6 years.
And then we moved to Fort Kent, and I joined the town council.
Yeah.
I was there 21 years.
Nice.
I got the record for that.
Longest tenured town council. So you taught in Wallagrass with the Wallagrass town manager. When you moved to Fort Kent, did you get a different job here in town?
Yes, I was. Even though I was living in Fort Kent, I was principal of 5 little schools around in SAD 27.
Wow.
There was one in Soldier Pond, New Canada, Wallagrass, and there were 2 in Soldier Pond.
Okay.
So that was it.
So you just kind of floated around from school to school every day? Or?
Yeah, and I used to take care of the substitute teachers whenever teachers were out.
Yeah.
You would deliver checks, delivered supplies, paper.
They kept
testing.
you busy.
Yes.
Nice.
But I enjoyed that, and I was the first principal of the new Wallagrass school when they were built it in 1967.
Okay.
That was a big move for me there.
Yeah.
Brand new school,
Yeah.
and new staff, and
What was the enrollment when you took over as principal at that school?
K to 8. We had an average about 20 kids per class, 180 kids.
It's not bad.
Now they closed the school because there's about 20 kids
Total.
going to school.
Yeah. So that new elementary school would have had the basketball gym, they had a soccer field. Did you coach any of those teams at all?
Yes, I did. Along with Rod Mador, we split coaching duties. He coached softball, and I coached baseball.
Yeah.
And baseball, we split that also.
Yeah.
It was we didn't have too big a schedule.
No.
A small school.
Yeah. Do you remember any of the athletes that you coached back then? Do you have any that you can remember that were really, really good?
Yeah, we have. I had a kid. We played a game in Allagash, Allagash High School, and he scored 100 points. I kept him in the game.
Who was
he wanted. His name was. He had a nickname. Pitou Saucier.
Pitou Saucier.
Yeah.
Scored 100 points.
He scored 100 points, and we beat. Of course, we won the game.
Yeah. How much did you guys win by? Was it a blowout?
It was a blowout.
So it was a blowout.
Yeah.
You let your guys score 100 points.
Didn't want to play us anymore.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. Do you have any other athletes that you can remember that you coached that were really good?
Well, I have a guy I used to coach that he still calls me coach, and I'm 87 years old.
Yeah.
Because you like my coaching, I guess, and he's still he's a what was his real name? Roland Willett.
Okay.
Roland Willett.
He still calls you coach.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you win any championships? Did they have playoffs at that point? Like the different schools played?
We won most of our games, and there was no big all-star teams chosen or anything like they do now.
It's just the different elementary schools played against each other.
Yeah.
How long were you the principal at Wallagrass Elementary?
I was a principal there for 15 years.
15 years.
Then I moved to Fort Kent, the big elementary school, for 17 years.
What was your role at the Fort Kent Elementary School?
As a teacher, and then a vice principal.
Okay. What'd you teach?
And language arts.
Language arts for what grades?
Junior high. 7 and 8.
Did you enjoy teaching that?
Oh yes, I enjoyed Fort Kent Elementary, working with Barney Pelletier, the principal.
Yeah.
We had 1,000 students in that building.
Wow.
When I first went there.
Yeah. A little bit different now. A little bit smaller enrollment. I'm curious. What was your teaching style like? Were you a disciplinarian? Were you pretty laid back and had a good time?
I was a nice guy.
Nice guy. Everybody liked you. Everyone liked coming to your class.
Yeah. I was working for the kids.
Yeah.
We had the kids in mind all the time, and make sure that they had a good education and well behaved. We're well behaved. We never had too many big problems.
Yeah. So what year did you come to Fort Kent as a teacher?
1969. Let's see. Yeah, close to 1970.
Did you coach any of the Fort Kent elementary school teams when you came to Fort Kent?
No.
Didn't do any coaching?
No, I was too busy doing. I used to take care of all the testing for the district.
Yeah.
And working with the student teachers.
So they just kept giving you more and more stuff to do.
Yeah,
they just kept you busy.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm guessing you probably had a couple of your kids by that point, right?
I had 5 kids.
5 kids.
When I retired.
Yeah. So go ahead and just name off the kids here. Let's give your kids some airtime. Your oldest son is
Vernon.
Vernon's the oldest.
Yeah.
And
then Ruth.
Yeah.
Then Vera.
Yep.
Carl and Luke.
Do you have a favorite child?
As far as sports go, yes.
Yes. Okay. So as far as
Carl.
sports,
Carl was my athlete.
he was the good one. So did you
Yeah.
kind of push him into athletics, or did he enjoyed it himself?
Oh yeah, and he was good. He was
Yeah.
good in baseball, basketball, and soccer. Soccer mainly.
Yeah. Were you going to all of his games back then, kind of like you
I
travel
went
now?
to most of the home games that he played at University of Southern Maine,
Yeah.
and then whenever he played at Thomas, I went to see the games at Thomas,
Yeah.
Husson, and I didn't miss too many games in Gorham. There's a lot of games there, and he made all New England,
Yeah.
and he made all national, which was another step higher than New England.
That's pretty crazy right
Yeah.
there.
And that's when he made the USM Soccer Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you didn't play soccer growing up. It wasn't around back
There was
then.
no soccer, no.
So where did he get his soccer skills from?
I don't know. He was a natural.
Just a natural athlete?
He won a lot of games here in Fort Kent. A lot of games, close games.
Yeah.
If he's not, they didn't keep records about, but he must be one of the top scorers in the history of Fort Kent High School.
And they had some good soccer teams as well, right? When he was playing, they went
Yeah.
they go to a state championship game.
Yeah, they've been to. Let's see, who did they play? Gorham. They played Gorham once or twice.
The state championship.
Yeah, Scarborough they played once or twice.
Yeah.
Those were close games too.
So back then, when Carl was playing and they had
Yeah.
some good teams, was because I know now we get big crowds for soccer games
Mhm.
here. What was it like back then? Were there big crowds back then as well?
Big crowds, yeah.
Yeah.
And as you know, Fort Kent only won one state championship in soccer.
Yeah.
And when Thomas Levesque scored the only goal
Yeah.
against North Yarmouth Academy.
Were you there for that one?
I was there.
Yeah. So you were there for the state championship.
I've been to most of the, whenever the Fort Kent teams were playing, wherever they were playing, I was there.
Yeah.
Boy, they used to play on athletic fields like Bowdoin College,
Yeah.
Colby. That's where they used to hold the state championship games.
Yeah.
Mostly Colby and Bowdoin.
They got to play south where it's no snow at that point.
Yeah, I
It's-
know.
Yeah. Did you teach any of your kids?
Yeah, Carl.
Did you show favoritism?
No, I was really tough on him.
Oh, you were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what Linda Johnson used to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
You're too tough on Carl.
What does Carl think? Would Carl agree with you?
Oh yeah.
I got a question for you. So back then, were there school dances?
Yes.
Did you chaperone the school dances?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were walking around saying, "Hey, you
Yeah.
can't put your hands there
Yeah.
3 feet apart."
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
did a lot of that.
yeah. Was it a band that would play, or did you guys have a DJ come in?
It was mostly DJ. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I was around back then, you would have hired me, right?
You wouldn't have been hired.
All right.
You're a good DJ.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it, Legs. So how long did you wind up staying at the elementary school? You said for 16 years.
17 years.
Did you do any more teaching after that, or is that it?
No, that was. Then I was offered a job at the Valley Times.
Okay, so
Full time.
let's talk about that. So they offered you was it the publisher or
Publisher.
Publisher,
Yeah.
wow. And you had no experience prior to that.
No, I was a sports writer. Part time.
Okay, so you're doing that part time.
35 years, yeah.
And where was your office back then?
We had it at different places in town here in Fort Kent.
Yeah.
And then the Valley Times was the only weekly newspaper in the area.
Yeah. And they offered you the part-time
Yeah.
sports reporter.
Right.
I find it. I'm blown away because you've had all these different jobs like growing up, and like it seemed like you had no experience. They just kind of threw you into it, but you were very
Yeah.
good at everything you did.
I managed.
Yeah. So you were doing sports for part time. I'm guessing you covered some incredible athletes
Oh, yeah.
during that time frame. Do you have any that come to mind, like just
Oh,
incredible athletes that were around?
Tom Pelletier,
Yeah.
Matt Rossignol.
Those are the two that stick out in your mind right there.
The two, and of course, Glenn Lamar.
Yeah. So
We had a lot of good athletes.
yeah, so let's we'll talk about Fort Kent because I'm a little biased. I'm from Fort Kent. I don't really care about the other towns. typical night back in the mid-'70s when Tom Pelletier was playing, what was it like when you would show up to the high school? Was it a packed house?
Packed house. I think they stopped admitting people at the door after 6 o'clock.
So they would turn people away.
Yeah,
you couldn't come in.
Against the fire regulations.
Yeah, so people would show up early. So the JV games must have had a packed crowd.
Yeah, he was outstanding.
Yeah. Any? Do you remember any games in particular, or any particular nights?
Prescal.
Okay, tell me about that game.
Prescal was always tough to beat.
Yeah.
And the best game that Tom played was against Prescal.
Was this his senior year? Do you remember, or junior year?
It must have been his senior year.
Yeah.
He had great games all 4 years of high school.
Yeah.
He was on the all-Maine team selection by the Bangor Daily News for 4 years in a row.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
right there.
all-Maine, yeah.
Yeah. So the Prescal game, so Prescal came into town. They were always really, really good.
They were always bigger than us.
Yeah, so we didn't have much size back then, right? That's always been a problem for us.
It's always been a problem.
Yeah, so Prescal comes in with a lot of size. Yeah. Tom at that point was all-state. So what happened that game?
Yeah, Tom made I can't remember exactly if he had 36 or 38 points, but he was the top scorer.
Yeah.
And it was a close game, and he scored the winning basket, of course.
Was it at the buzzer, or was it a little bit?
It was close to the right.
Buzzer?
The buzzer was going off.
So that must have been maybe first time ever we beat Prescott. Mm-hmm. Okay. I know where you sit now when you go to games. You have your little spot off to the side of the stage. Is that where you were sitting back then as well?
Oh yeah.
So that's always been your seat.
Yeah, that's been there. And
was that seat given to you?
I used to take a lot of pictures, so that was a good angle.
Yeah, yeah. So that was just naturally where you like to watch the games.
And I enjoyed coaching a few of the Bard guys.
Who'd you coach for Bard guys?
No, I mean, not coach, but
coverage. Yeah, yeah. We'll get to those Bard boys a little bit later on. So you mentioned Matt Rosenthal, Tom Pelletier. Any other athletes that you can remember during your time as a sports reporter that you were just like, wow, this guy?
Linda Johnson.
Linda Johnson. What did she play, basketball?
Yeah, basketball.
Now, when was this? Was the 70s and 80s as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. When did you stop your sports reporting duties?
When I took over as publisher of the Valley Times in 1986.
1986.
And I was publisher until 1996.
So what was your role as the publisher? You kind of oversaw the entire paper? Was that your job?
Yeah, I was in charge of everything, the print shop, the distribution of the paper, the all the work. I was the CEO, and they call him publisher, editor.
So was that office in Madawaska at that point back then?
Right.
So you were in Madawaska?
Yeah.
I'm guessing you got to travel a lot with that job, right? You had to go all over the place, I'm guessing?
Well, not too much traveling, except going to Prescott to work out details on the publishing with the Northeast Publishing Company in Prescott.
Yeah. And
we worked together a lot on the printing and advertising.
Yeah. Was that your favorite job? Was the publisher of the Valley Times your favorite job?
I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that type of work.
Yeah. So you retired from the paper in '96,
right?
And then was that it? Was that your last job?
That was my last job. Yeah. No, and now I have part-time jobs.
Part-time.
After that.
So what'd you pick up for part-time jobs after the Valley days?
Funeral homes in Fort Kent, Frenchville, Senegat.
And you're still doing that today, right?
Still doing that.
Yeah. And you continue to take pictures though for the Valley Times, right?
Exactly.
Any athletes from later on, from the '90s and 2000s that you recall that you just really enjoyed watching?
Yeah, Charles Bard.
Yeah, he was good.
Tom Bard.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
And Sam Bard.
Yeah, those are all great athletes.
The Bard brothers.
Yeah.
They were the greatest.
Yeah. When teams made it to Bangor, were you driving down to Bangor and going to the auditorium?
I never missed a game in Bangor when Fort Kent went down to Bangor. I still do it.
Right, and we're trying to go down there in 2 weeks, right? That's the plan. Hopefully
exactly.
The boys win this week.
Exactly.
And you always sat press row at the auditorium, right?
Always had a good seat and press pass.
Yeah. Do you remember watching any special games at the auditorium? Do you have any games that kind of stick out in your mind?
I saw so many games at the auditorium. Let's see, We did win one game. I think you were involved.
Oh no, we lost.
Oh no, we lost. Yeah.
A couple of the girls' teams after my time, some of those Travis Delisle teams, they won a game or two.
Right.
That would have been a little bit later on. But do you remember the first game you went to for the auditorium? Was it when Tom was playing?
We played at Rockland, and they had some big boys.
This would have been back in the 70s, the first time?
Yeah, we played Rockland, and we get beat pretty bad.
Yeah.
But they were big, and we were not.
Yeah,
you know.
That was always our problem.
Yeah.
So when you would go to Bangor, would you make it a weekend thing? Did you enjoy some other things in Bangor?
Yeah.
So what was your typical Bangor trip like when you were going down there to cover the teams? Do you have a favorite restaurant you go to? Like that?
The restaurants in Bangor were the best.
Yeah.
There's one that, where was it, where you had a party for your Braxton.
They used to be Miller's Buffet, I think, right?
Miller's
was good. Miller's was
that was my favorite restaurant.
And that was right next to the auditorium.
Miller's, yeah.
Hit up Miller's and go to the games. Nowadays, you're happily retired, living life.
Going to all the home. I haven't missed a home game yet.
Yeah, I haven't missed a home game.
No, I go to all the home games.
You've also been inducted into about 1,000 Hall of Fames at this point, right?
3 of them.
3 of them. So which Hall of Fames are you currently in?
UMFK, that was the first one in when I was 83 years old.
Yeah.
UMFK Athletic Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And that was a great ceremony. I was there for that one. That was
good turnout for that.
That was nice.
And then the main press was my biggest one was the main press.
Yeah.
That involved all the newspapers in Maine.
Yeah.
And including the Portland newspapers, weeklies and dailies.
Yeah.
And then I had backup speeches by Pam Bard, my son Carl, and my nephew Pat Labbe.
Yeah.
All spoke very nicely at the banquet, before the banquet, at the ceremony, and then the big party after.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
That was a good time. I was there for that one too.
Yeah.
At the Bayside Event Center, I think it's called, down there in Bar Harbor. Was that the one?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah.
So you just Hall of Fames. You're a busy guy.
And the last one was called the Maine Sports Legends Hall of Fame.
And where is that Hall of Fame at?
In Waterville.
Okay.
And that was a nice award there.
Yeah. And that was for your contributions as a
publisher, editor.
Yeah.
And involved in sports.
Yeah.
It's called sports.
Yeah.
You could be writing, broadcasting, playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because of your credentials and being as a member of the press, you used to get to go down to Boston, right? And you get to
press pass and go to
Red Sox games. Yep. You go to some Celtics games too.
Good seats, yes.
Did you get to ever get in the locker room and meet any players or anything like that? So, who were some of the guys you got to interact with?
Yeah, in baseball, I met Reggie Jackson.
Wow. Were you nice to him?
Kyle Yastrzemski.
Were you nice to Reggie? Because Reggie's a Yankee, isn't he?
Yeah, but I went to an All-Star game in Fenway Park, and all those guys were there.
Oh,
and I was on the field walking around, and I chummed around with some of the Blue Jays from Toronto.
Yeah.
They were a lot of fun.
What year was that? What year was that All-Star game?
Holy boy, that was way back in the 70s and 80s. Wow.
So
I used to go to a lot of games.
Yeah, so I'm guessing you probably interacted with some Hall of Fame baseball players.
Yeah. So that was pretty exciting. I don't know if you ever heard of Johnny Most.
Johnny Most, the play-by-play guy for the Celtics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had my picture taken with him.
Wow.
And I have it in my scrapbook somewhere.
Yeah.
Johnny Most.
Did you meet him at the Boston Garden?
Yep.
Nice. Yep. You meet any of the great Celtics players back then?
I got close to Tommy
Heinsohn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw him every game I went there. He was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I saw Larry Bird play.
Yeah. So did you see like any playoff games, or was it normally like just regular season games that you go to?
Regular season games.
Yeah. So where were the press seats when you got hooked up with press badges? Were you right on the floor, or were you sitting a little bit?
I was in the press section there all the time. I was there.
Where was the press section in the old Boston Garden?
Some of the photographers they sit right on the floor there.
Oh yeah.
Like,
so you had some great
sidelines.
Yeah. Do you have one game or event that you went to, either as a spectator or in your press capacity, that kind of sticks out more than others?
We were the same guys going. Like I had my brother Arms and Pat Labbe, Father Sear, Father Priest.
Yeah.
He was a big Celtics fan. Then we'd meet up with some of my friends in Manchester, New Hampshire, where we'd stayed on the way down and on the way back, and so we had good times at the Boston Garden.
You're a diehard Red Sox fan.
Red Sox. That's I saw more Red Sox games than basketball.
So I was going to say you've probably been to a ton of Red Sox games. You ever been to any all-time classic?
Game? The game between the Red Sox and the Yankees when Pedro pitched against holy man, Clemens. Roger. I was trying to remember his first name. Roger Clemens.
Yeah.
And Pedro Martinez.
Yeah. That was the best game you've been to?
That was terrific. What a game.
Yeah.
Pedro beat Roger.
Yeah. It must have been a very heated game.
Very good game.
Any idea if you had to estimate how many Red Sox games you've been to? How many times have you been to Fenway Park?
I went to Fenway Park for 25, 30 years without, go see a game or two.
Yeah.
And now I still go once in a while. Yeah. And I go to see a Sea Dogs game every summer.
Did you have a routine, like when you go to a Red Sox game, or when you were going every year? Was there like a routine that you guys would do? Did you guys stop at a certain place on the way to the game, or maybe do something at the stadium that you guys did every time you went?
As you drive to Boston, there's a big steakhouse where there's a big bull, and we used to stop there once in a while. And of course, in Boston, there's all kinds of restaurants. And at the park, the sausage was one of my favorite. Those sausage. As you Yorkie Way, in Yorkie Way, they have those stands.
Yeah. How about on the way home from the games? Did you guys ever stop somewhere after the Red Sox games on the way home?
Oh yeah. You should stop at. I can't remember the name of the place. Be Jolly at the Hall, There was a couple of places there.
Yeah. You guys always had a good time on the way home, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy. That's a lot of games to go to. How about, who's your favorite Red Sox player of all time?
Yaz.
Yeah.
Yaz.
Did you ever actually see him play live?
Yes, I've seen. And when they opened up Cabela's in South Portland.
Yeah.
He was there signing autographs, and he was the guest there at Cabela's.
Yeah.
So Sarah, my granddaughter, and I, we got in line, and we got his autograph, and he autographed Sarah's baseball cap.
Yeah.
And he gave me a picture of Yaz, and he was a great guy.
Yeah. How about I know you're a diehard Red Sox fan, so when they actually won their first World Series, do you remember that stretch at all? Like when they were down 0-3 to the Yankees, do you remember that series?
Oh yeah, that was.
Were you living just right on the edge for all those games?
That was a great series.
Yeah. So when they actually won their first championship, do you remember doing anything out of the norm to celebrate, or?
Well, we used to have pools going, baseball pools going on. Yeah. And of course, there's a lot of Red Sox fans in Fort Kent and throughout Aroostook County, throughout Maine.
Yeah.
And a few Yankee fans.
Pretty incredible stuff. You were inducted into the UMFK Hall of Fame primarily for your contributions for being a sports editor,
sports fan,
being the ultimate sports fans. Do you have any athletes that come to mind that were some of your favorites?
Bunny LaPlante.
So when did Bunny play?
Bunny played way back when Ozzie was coaching.
Yeah.
Coach Ozzy coached quite a few years. Terry Drown to Paul Kiwack from Millnocket.
Yeah.
I remember Paul Kiwack won a game for Stearns at the buzzer by 1 point for the Eastern Maine Championship.
Yeah.
So going to the playoff games at Bangor it's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Even though we'd lose, it's always
Just
fun to be
go
there.
down there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you always run into people too that you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And the most traveling I did was with your mom and dad,
yeah.
Pam and Joey.
Mm-hmm.
We followed you guys, you and Sam and Charles,
Yeah.
wherever you played. We went.
Yeah. You did a lot.
And,
you
we
still
did
get
a
out
lot.
a little bit and travel and see some games.
Yeah, you guys had great athletic experiences.
Yeah. A lot of good memories.
Yes.
So now we mentioned earlier you have your 5 kids who all have had many more kids who are now also having kids of
Up
their
to
own.
30 grandchildren.
So you got 30 grandchildren. Do you have any great-great-grandchildren?
17.
17
Yeah.
great-grandchildren. I'm guessing some of them are into sports now, right?
Oh yeah, a lot of kids. They were playing baseball and basketball and soccer.
Yeah. You got to see any of them play?
Yes, I've been going every year. I've been going to see some of them play, and there's so many of them I can't go to all of them.
Yeah. So at this point in your life, you're considered a legend by many, including myself. What are you doing these years at this stage of your life right now? Like, what's the typical day for Legs like at this point?
Well, the first thing I do in the mornings, I read the Bangor Daily News.
You've been doing that for a long time, right? That's been a thing of yours right there.
And check out the obituaries.
Yeah.
Because I work at funeral homes.
Yeah.
And then I have my breakfast, and after that takes about an hour, breakfast and reading the paper.
Yeah.
Then in the summertime, I do more walking than in the winter. I try to do some walking in 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And if there's anything going on at the high school or grammar school, I'm there.
Yeah.
I don't miss any home games.
You don't miss much. You've got a very busy schedule. You always got something going on, something to attend, either a banquet or an event or
Yes,
cocktails somewhere.
I get invited to a lot of parties.
Yeah, so you're kind of the life of the party.
I was interviewed by Jessica, a writer for the Valley Times, and it's in this week's St. John Valley Times about Sarah and I going to basketball games.
Yeah, so you still go catch all the home games with
And I
Sarah.
remember Sarah kept shouting, "Come on, Charlie," and "Come on, Tom." And, yeah, she was quite a fan, and she's quite a fan. She loves basketball and soccer, and
Yeah. So you mentioned reading the paper, getting out, going for your walk, always attending events and stuff like that, and you're still watching every Red Sox game, right?
Definitely.
Watching the Celtics.
And the Celtics have been in first place all year. Toronto is right behind them, though.
Yeah.
The Raptors beat them pretty bad the other night.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens the rest of the year with those guys.
Tom, I enjoyed having you here for 2 years, where I could.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to touch on next. So you mentioned earlier that I was the best roommate you've ever had.
Yes.
What was so great about my time here? Let's touch on that, because we had a good time when I lived here. We used to have friends over. We used to play loud music.
Yeah, I used to enjoy that.
Yeah, you used to like the music I played, and
Definitely.
Yeah, you liked all the guys that would come over. All the college basketball guys would come over. And the thing I liked about Legs is he didn't mind if I had women over. He was perfectly fine with it if I brought
You're
her
right.
over.
You're right there.
Yes, I was here for 2 years. A couple years back, was it your 85th birthday? They had a big birthday bash for you.
My 80th
Your
and
80th
85th.
was a big one, and your 85th.
Yeah.
So what are we doing for the 90th birthday party? That's around the corner here, right? A couple more years.
I think I'm gonna take a trip.
Yeah.
No, I'll be around.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. That's a
My goal is to be around.
Yeah, that's a question I have for you, because you're what, 88 right now? 87?
87.
87, still in great health, still making it out, going to games. What's
Still
your
feeling
trick?
good.
People want to know what's the success to Legs being as good as he still is right now.
Keep moving.
Keep moving. And maybe
Keep moving.
maybe a cocktail every now and then.
Yes, that's good for you. Bloody Marys are good.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier this is your first radio show you've ever done, right?
First radio show.
Yeah. What'd you think? You like it? You have a good time?
Hey, this is great.
Yeah. Before we get up out of here, let's say, so you got interviewed by this has been a big week for you. You got interviewed by the Valley Times. You're getting interviewed with me on Big Time. How many other times have you been interviewed?
Well, we're three legends in Fort Kent here that belong to the main press. Berman Bonville, who worked 42 years for the Bangor Daily News.
Yeah.
Don Levac, who replaced me when I retired as a publisher.
Yeah.
And we were invited at the college one time, the three of us, to just show up and eat and drink and and communicate. I mean, talk about times about being legends.
Yeah.
And so there's three legends in town, maybe more now. Ben Parody.
Yeah, it's true.
Ben Parody got the Main Sports Legend Award. Ben Parody. Larry Murphy.
Yeah, that's another legend right there.
We have a lot of legends in town here.
Yeah, but there's only one.
Larry.
For me and my friends, there's only one legend that we consider, and it's Legs the Legend.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, the Bards are very close to my heart.
Absolutely. I got a question for you real quick because it was mentioned, I forgot which episode it was on, but we were talking about you and you used to take a lot of photos and stuff like that. So you were taking photos for Fort Kent, and Don Arlo was taking photos for Madawaska and Van Buren. Was there a rivalry there with you guys? Were you guys competing with each other for who could get the best photo?
The Madawaska people were pretty jealous because Fort Kent was getting more news and more pictures.
Yeah.
We had better teams.
Exactly. But you and Don Arnold got along where you guys were friends.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he passed away just a couple of years ago.
All kinds of good times. That's what I can remember is when I would flip through the paper and the photos and seeing like photo by Legs Labbe or photos by Don Arnold.
Yeah.
It was always a big deal.
When he died, he was living in Bangor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, Legs, that's all I got. I want to thank you for coming on and doing Big Time. I had a good time. I hope you had a good time.
Yes, and you're a good guy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you. He's a man of many, many skills. A true legend. Ladies and gentlemen, Legs Labbe on Big Time. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for listening, everybody. As always, tune in next week for another big episode on Big Time. We'll see you later.
It was a pleasure.